No way. I was raised in a very Catholic family, and I went to an all-boys Catholic high school. Was terrified of everything, and just the whole gay, sissy, fag thing was thrown around constantly. But I tried to hide it as much as I could, I think. I came out, I explored myself. I thought I was bisexual until I'm in college, and then I realized it was more fun and easier to have boyfriends than girlfriends. It's a lot cheaper too. I guess the first time I answered the question, "Are you gay?" was dealing with a fraternity crisis. I was the vice president of my fraternity, and they were a new fraternity on my campus, and the concern was we would ruin the image back in 1980 of being the gay fraternity or being a fraternity with gays. And I was terrified. I was asked to quit. I was asked to resign my office, and I didn't want to. I kind of just left the meeting and went and talked with the officers, the counselors in the school. And after getting some advice from other people, and I've known this guy for a couple of years, and I know his wife, and he said, instead of asking the question, "Did you come on to one of the pledges?" which I expected, and I was prepared to say no, I didn't go to any meetings or events or whatever because I'm too busy. He asked me, "Are you gay?" And I sat there and thought, I guess I have nothing to lose, so I'm going to say yes. Yeah, I am. And then he said, "We should probably meet outside of my office. Let's meet downtown at a restaurant." I thought he was coming on to me. It was kind of scary. But it was the first time I was able to admit it. And he was one that opened my eyes because I was getting ready to leave in a couple of weeks to do an internship for a major global corporation. It was a big deal for me to get my foot in the door in my career. And he knew that, and he said, "What happens if you went to work for this company and you liked it and they liked you and they offered you the job, but you found out that they didn't protect gays? How would you feel?" I said, "I probably wouldn't want to be around them. I would probably look for another job, I guess, if it was that blatant and obvious." And then he said, "So why would you want to be around a fraternity that has those same attitudes and issues?" And I thought, "You're absolutely right." But I knew so many other members of my fraternity that were gay, and they were graduating and moving on, and I was still an undergrad. And I remember going to the meeting the next week and saying, "You know what, I love this fraternity. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to give up my officer role because I'm doing this internship out of state, but you know what, I'm always going to be a member of this fraternity. I'm always going to have these brothers that I love." And sure enough, some of them are my very best friends still to this day.
Awesome. Times have changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
scary. Oh, it was terrifying. Nobody knew what to do, what it was, what caused it. I think, in the early 2000s, it was finally determined or not, communicated that it had to be through sexual activity and through bodily fluid transmissions and such. And I thought, well, as long as it's, not kissing and oral and those types of things, I'm going to be okay. But I rarely had that kind of deep sex.
I mean, you don't kiss, that'd be pretty hard. But.
I'm really fortunate that I have a lot of friends that were able to be detected and get on medication at the right time. And it was hard for them in, the early 2000s, even in the 90s. I'm sorry, but it was. I don't know if my time frame is completely off on this conversation.
No, it is.
Because I went to college in the 70s and 80s. I came out 82, worked in New Orleans for 5 years, totally gay, accepting, friendly city. I loved it there. And that's when I started finding out that certain friends were HIV positive and were going into hospitals, and that's when it was scary. But I knew I was pretty safe doing not much.
Cool. So I noticed.
But I mean, I can't say that I had a really close friends. I have many friends that are HIV positive still, that are in their 50s and 60s. There's a stigma still, sadly.
Wow.
A friend of mine just saw, he's retired and is in Florida, and saw some redneck wearing a t-shirt that said something to the effects of AIDS cures fags. And it was on his Facebook posting, and it really upset him. And I get it. I mean, he's been healthy and positive for decades. But to see people that ignorant in a, grocery store line.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I started out in Los Angeles for many years, getting involved with the Gay and Lesbian Center. I lived in that neighborhood. And because of my profession, I can help people learn about getting jobs and writing resumes and interviewing do's and don'ts. I'm a human resources executive. And had no problem forming groups of other HR people that were LGBTQ. And a while, it eventually went away from the professional stuff into the youth side. I just saw Adam Rippon today on I don't know what show he was on, The View, and I just look at this 26-year-old kid and think, God, he has so much potential to reach young kids, teens and preteens that are concerned and scared, but now have a role model. And he laughs at himself, and I didn't have that. And so when I worked with GLAD, I was the co-chair of the GLAD Youth Initiative that provided high school and college kids and recent college grads an opportunity to get to see the GLAD Media Awards and be involved in the festivities. And we ended up having, there were two of us in charge of it. By the second year, first year we had 700 students. The second year we had almost 1,500. And we had our own program and our own meals, and we did